Hey everyone, I'm John Luke. We're here at Summer Games Fest. I'm here with Jordan,
Hello.
who got to check out Star Wars Outlaws. You
Yes,
got to
I
play
did.
an hour of it.
Yeah, 3 different chunks, each 20 minutes, so yeah,
Okay.
about an hour.
All right, well, first off, why don't you explain what exactly you got to play?
Starting off, I got to play something that was kind of your, not generic, but like the general vibe of the game, picking it up, like hacking through doors, shooting Imperials, getting into the starship and like flying away, kind of like a general overview of what to expect for the
Gotcha.
game. Following that, did a smaller segment that was a little bit more platformer focused. Main character was like searching for a navigational core in a derelict starship that was like falling apart. So it was very like Uncharted, like leaping through areas. Very similar gameplay to anyone who's played the recent Jedi games from Respawn.
Okay.
Kind of stuff like that. Then the final portion was supposed to be a very stealth-focused gameplay part of the game where I was supposed to like sneak into a spot, get some stolen tech, bring it back to this badass queen who looked very cool. Accidentally broke stealth like very early into it and had to shoot my way out, which was very viable. The game said like, oh, by the way, like certain characters will remember that you just went on a slaughtering spree and like killed everyone. Didn't get to see how that would actually pan out, but yeah, I got to experience a little bit of stealth before very quickly breaking said stealth.
Interesting. So then, how did each individual element feel? Because it seems like it's a Ubisoft game, it's open world, right? It's like they try and do a lot of different things. So it's like, I mean, you're describing stealth, combat, ship combat, like that's a lot of different things.
It's a very quintessential Ubisoft game, like for better and worse. It's one of those games where I come away from it being like, you can tell that the people who made this game know how to make video games.
Yeah.
Everything's working as it's supposed to. There are hacking mini games to get through doors. You can direct your companion to distract guards. You can switch what type of blaster bolts you're using to have different effects. Everything works as it's intended. But there's also just so much of it. And you can kind of see in like the 3 different things that I played that there's like so much that doesn't really focus on promoting any aspect of that gameplay to really excel and stand out, as you see in a lot of other action games where it's like, oh, like this is the one thing that's like really cool about this game, and it's like, oh, everything's kind of just, it's doing its job and it's doing it pretty well, but none of it is like screaming out at me. It's like, wow, this game does stealth better than anything else, or this game does shooting in a Star Wars game better than any Battlefront or Republic Commando that I've played before.
So it's like jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah,
situation.
kind of something like that. So I came away from it a little more lukewarm than I did going into it. Like, I'm a big Star Wars guy. I was really hopeful about this, and I'm still going to check it out like when the game comes out, but it was just, it's one of those things where you kind of step away and it's like, oh, this didn't grab me in a way that I really was hoping it would, which is a hard thing to do, of course, when you have a demo and you're trying to take a snippet out of a full project.
Yeah, I mean, because it's also an open world game, I imagine you didn't really get a sense of like how the open world feels and how everything connects to one another, and like what's that experience like?
Yeah, there were so many moments where it's like, oh, I have to get to the next mission, and they had it set up like on a timer where like it was counting down like on each segment, so like if I didn't finish it, I wouldn't see the end of the segment. So I was like, oh, there's open world stuff, there's like NPCs and other things, I kind of just have to sprint past them to like get to the story beat, and that's like no fault of the game. That's just like the situation of how the demo is set up to just like get players moving. So, because there was a lot of people who wanted to check out Star Wars.
Sure. Did you get a sense of like the story, the characters, like how that's all kind of shaping up so far?
Yeah, a little bit. I kind of got the sense that they specifically chose segments that were more gameplay heavy than story heavy to like not really like dig into those elements.
Don't want to spoil it
too much. Yeah, something like that. So there were like a few like cool little standouts. It's like, oh, there's a bounty hunter chasing the main character. That seems pretty cool. I wonder how that's going to play out. It's like, oh, she meets like an old reprogrammed CIS droid from the old Clone War days who's pretty cool, has like that trench coat, and like he helps her out, but like it was only in a quick 20 to 30 second scene. So it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, they're dropping the breadcrumbs. I'm seeing what they're trying to set up, but I don't feel anything for any of these people yet, because I'm just getting small little tropey snippets and I can't really experience what they have to deliver.
Totally, yeah. To be fair, that's like always hard to get a grasp on in like a tight, even 1 hour long demo.
I do want to at least address the fact that there are aspects of this game that I came away from it just being like, oh, like, because there are some aspects I'm like, I'm not really sure, I just want to see how it is.
Sure.
The mini games that are tied to like getting through doors, though, I didn't jive with them very well. There were two different ones. One is more of like a rhythm type thing where there's a blinking light that flashes in a very Simon-esque way, like this is the pattern and you have to like click the trigger to match the pattern as best you can. And that one, for whatever reason, just took me way too long to figure out. I could feel the demoist like over my shoulder, harshly judging me, silently, but harshly judging me. The other one is, I can kind of see how there could be maybe a strategic element to it. It's like you get a collection of like 8 symbols and you have to do like 4 symbols in a row in the correct order. 4 symbols. So you have to click on a collection of symbols and then it lets you know like, oh, this symbol is not in the pattern. This symbol is in the pattern, but you put it in the wrong order. This symbol is in the pattern and you put it in the wrong order. And you get like a certain amount of guesses.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of like go through. And it was one of those things where it's like, it doesn't detract from the game in any way, other than like kind of like adding something there when like there could be a tense moment. But at the same time, it doesn't add anything. And whenever you include a puzzle or some sort of mini game like in a game, like I've had this issue with so many games, Spider-Man 2, where it's like it should add something narratively, gameplay wise, something. Otherwise I'm like, why are we doing this? Why couldn't I just go up to the door and open it? And that's one of those things where like, well, maybe it does add something, but if it does, I just didn't see it playing the demo.
I totally know what you mean. Like, I personal opinion, but just like, I find hacking mini games to be, even the good ones, like you do it 2 or 3 times and you're like, I'm over it. I don't want to do this anymore. This is annoying. And it's not a great sign if like, even in a demo, you're like, I'm already over this.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just like, it's not really that great.
It's small things. It's small things that are just in my, like during the stealth level, there was a moment where I got away from the stormtroopers and I was so far that I couldn't really see the stormtroopers anymore, but I could move the cursor and I could see it change from gray to red. And so I pulled the trigger and I landed headshots without really using the skill to land those headshots. And I'm like, I don't know, man, there's something missing here. Like I want you to give me a little bit more. And again, I don't know if it was just because it's the demo or if it's just because I'm just not really in tune with what the experience that this game is trying to give. It might be that this game just isn't for me. I don't know. It's hard to tell with only an hour.
Yeah. So I mean, the game's coming out real soon, like this fall. Sounds like you're more tepid coming out of this than you were coming in. I mean, obviously, like you said, we'll see how it all comes together, It's an open world game. It's a Ubisoft game. I imagine it's going to be very long. And it's going to have a lot of stuff in it. And maybe once like you see the whole thing, it all comes together. But at least for now, it seems like it was all right. It was,
We'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see. All right. Well, thank you, Jordan, for taking your time and telling me about Star Wars. And for all things Summer Game Fest, stick around at GameSpot.